Hello and welcome to this breaking news bulletin. We are currently getting updates about an incident that has taken place in the sky, and it has left many people shocked. It has been reported that the private jet of Russian opposition figure Yevgeny Prigozhin was shot down by unknown group, and the situation is still under investigation. We have been told that the jet, which was carrying a number of people, including Mr. Prigozhin, was shot down in the early hours of the morning, and there have been no reports of survivors. The jet was taking a flight from the country's capital, Moscow, to the city of Sochi, where Mr. Prigozhin was to attend a conference. It is being talked about as just a plane crash, and there are many theories circulating about what could have caused this. However, in this video, this crash has the characteristics of a plane that has been shot down. Many people are suspecting that the Russian government could be involved in this, as it has been known to use such tactics in the past to silence opposition figures. We will keep you updated as more information comes in, and we hope that everyone on board the jet is safe and well. Until then, please stay tuned to this channel for all the latest updates. Thank you for watching.
Margaret, how are U.S. officials responding to the news that Prigozhin could have been killed? What are they saying in terms of potential questions that everybody has posed now about Russian involvement?
Well, there are a lot of questions, Anna, that is for sure, because this is not yet confirmed by U.S. intelligence. Remember, these reports that are coming out are from Russian media. And the U.S. officials I've spoken to are being very, very careful here, deeply skeptical of the motivations behind, who may be making some of this public, unable and unwilling at this point to even confirm if there was a downed aircraft. But we know that President Biden has been briefed on the reported plane crash in Russia, and U.S. officials said to me that if it is confirmed, it shouldn't be a surprise. The implication there being that Vladimir Putin might have had some role in taking out this mercenary chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who has posed this threat to his ability to maintain control over the armed forces and over parts of the public within Russia. Now, there's also reasons to question whether this is true at all. No one should be surprised if Putin silenced a critic, but no one should be surprised if it is a fake, allowing for Yevgeny Prigozhin to go under the radar. Now, he has been living in St. Petersburg, Russia, shockingly, on and off for months now, has been photographed and has been seen at events, particularly making a statement that he is able to live in Putin's Russia. But U.S. officials, the CIA director himself made, basically tongue-in-cheek jokes saying, watch what windows you walk in front of and make sure you have a food taster, saying Vladimir Putin likes his revenge cold and that Yevgeny Prigozhin might not be around for very long. At this point, there's also this bigger question of if Prigozhin, even if Prigozhin wasn't on that plane, if, as reports say, top leaders of the Wagner Group, the mercenary group he led, were indeed aboard it, that also could have implications for their reach and their ability to continue functioning in all the theaters in which they are players throughout Africa, the Central African Republic, less so in Ukraine these days, but certainly they played a key role there to date, certainly Syria.
And Margaret, let's push a bit further on that point that you've just made. We've already made it clear that, we treat these reports with some level of suspicion because the Kremlin has shown that it's not beyond misinformation for its own benefit. And there are, as we understand, some 20 to 25,000 men as part of this Wagner mercenary group beneath Prigozhin. So what does the Kremlin benefit, or how does it benefit if it's sharing misinformation about a possible assassination of the leader and the number two on this aircraft? How would it benefit them to weaken the mercenary group overall?
Well, you're right to say, the Kremlin trades and relies on mis and disinformation, not just to confuse the public, but to manipulate the public and to try to shape a different reality, right? That's consistent tool used by the Russian government. When it comes to Wagner, one of the things we've seen playing out for the past few months is also the financial interests that Wagner Group represents. They are paid killers, so to speak, mercenaries, but they go into some of these countries and really establish business networks in places that are resource rich, certainly in Africa, where they have business ties that go beyond just the contract of security. They go into minerals and resources and valuable goods. And so there is a reason that Vladimir Putin would want to maintain some control over Wagner Group as a business entity, if not a arm of his foreign policy, if not, these little green men, as they were called, these unofficial sort of soldiers for the Russian military. So there is a level of complication here that Wagner Group represents a financial interest that the Russian state is wanting to maintain control over, and perhaps not as willing, as some have said, to cede it all to Yevgeny Prigozhin, who claimed, that he was sort of retiring and that this Wagner Group was going to continue to function even with him in retirement. So it is not at all clear what reality is, but this is definitely going to be a story we're all following.
Absolutely. And Margaret, so many dramatic details there. The fact that he was living in St. Petersburg, Russia, particularly jumps out, I think, in terms of that was not the negotiated deal that we had all understood. So if he is, in fact, confirmed to have been on that plane, what does that mean for, in particular, Russia's war on Ukraine? Because when we were talking about Wagner being a mercenary group, guns for hire, Ukraine is where Wagner became a household name for Americans, and his disapproval and their disapproval with how Putin's military leaders were conducting that war all fed into that what Putin called treasonous behavior.
Well, Wagner is, in so many ways, Vladimir Putin had used it as this kind of not secret weapon, but this unofficial military that he could lean on in moments of need to exert power, but still maintain a sense of deniability. And that has shattered in recent years, particularly with this latest full invasion of Ukraine that happened. Remember, he did use Wagner Group back in 2014 on that initial invasion of the east of the country. He turned to them within the past few years because the Russian military wasn't performing to expectation. And so where did he have fighters with experience? He had fighters with experience within this mercenary group because he had been putting them out there in Syria, where they were used in quite devastating ways against the Syrian people, throughout Africa. So the fact that he had this, sort of secret tool, so to speak, also emphasized the weakness of his own military. And that is where Yevgeny Prigozhin started being able to be seen as this sort of independent entity of pointing out to Vladimir Putin, you need me. We're not working necessarily for you. And then, of course, that all led us to that dramatic moment, rolling tanks in across the border, as he did just a few months ago. So does this crash mean that dramatic storyline has come to an end, that Vladimir Putin did have his revenge served cold months later? Is this just an accident? Was this actually shut down by the Russian defense systems, as some have said this reported down plane was taken out? Who was on it? These are all the things that officials I've spoken with are trying to pin down and to determine at this moment. But as you say, the manifest officially, according to the Russian aviation authorities, had Prigozhin's name on it.